Hi, welcome to Divorcing Dilemmas. I'm Amanda Porter, as most of you know. And as you may or may not know, the reason I started doing this series was because a lot of my clients come to me and they have a lot of needs beyond just their legal needs. I'm well situated to help them with their legal needs, but frequently they have a lot of stuff that they need other experts for. And so in this series, I interview a variety of experts who can tell you a little bit about what they do and how that information may help you if you're going through a divorce. So today I have with me Scott Schultz from Remax Results. Scott, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. So Scott, you're a realtor, correct?
Correct. I do residential and commercial.
Awesome. And so for a lot of my clients, now not everybody owns a property, obviously, but for those who do, that's frequently one of or the biggest asset. And it's also one of the hardest ones to value. A retirement plan usually comes with a nice statement that tells you exactly how much is in there. Bank accounts have exact things. Cars, you can do Kelley Blue Book. Houses are sometimes the most mysterious ones. But finding and knowing what that value is can be very important. So now, Scott, why is it, or maybe it is, I mean, so some people are tempted to use, you get a tax statement every year from the property taxes, or go online to check out Zillow. Is that a good idea to use those figures?
Well, for a true value of your home, using tax value and Zillow are not going to give you a true meaning. They will give you a round estimate based on no inside facts of the home.
Okay. So it might tell you, okay, if your house is really worth 200, they're not going to come back at 600,000 or something.
Correct. Yeah, it'll get you in a ballpark area. But what you really need, when you need to find out what the value of your home is, you need to know what you've done to the home. Things like new roof, new appliances, new furnace, new water heater. All those will make your house have a better value than what you can get on the Zillows, the Trulias, and of course your tax records, because none of those companies or the county have been inside your home.
Okay, and so I think most people are aware of appraisals. If they bought a house, they most likely went through that. But those cost a couple $100s, and people don't always want to do that. So is there a better alternative if using Zillow or the county isn't great? Because I agree, you want a more exact number than just, well, somewhere around here. Is there an option for people who don't want to hire an appraiser?
Absolutely. There's a report called a CMA, Competitive Market Evaluation. Competitive Market
Analysis.
Thank you.
No problem.
And what that has done, it's a real estate professional will then take a look at your home, look at comp homes within hopefully a mile of your home that are similar, that have sold, not necessarily are for sale, but have sold within the last 6 months. The shorter the time frame, the more accurate your CMA is going to be. So what a real estate professional would do would come out, talk to you about your home, find out what you've done to the home in the last few years, whether it's a new deck or a finished basement or a new furnace, new water heater, how old the roof is. Take that into consideration against the other comps that are out there. And a good CMA will take an hour or so for that person. But then again, it is free. Now that versus an appraisal, of course, you pay for. And even if you have an appraisal done before you try to sell your home, after the offer has been made, the lending bank will also require another appraisal, no matter if you had one or not. So it is kind of a waste of money to double up in the appraisals. The buyer is the one that pays for the appraisal, not the seller.
Right, and then if people were refinancing, they'd likely end up, if they hadn't already arranged it with their company, they'd probably have to pay for another one as well. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, it's always in the lender's discretion.
Okay, so doing that and avoiding paying those fees when you might have to pay them or the buyer would have to pay them again can be a real benefit. Now, what is the difference in accuracy then between a CMA and an appraisal, if any?
Well, an appraisal will be considered the most accurate just because that's the one the banks have to use. Now, the appraisal and a CMAs usually come very close to each other, but there's still opinions. There's still people's opinions. A real estate professional will do as deep of a job as possible in getting all the data. Now, the appraiser will go a little farther. They will actually do actual room measurements. They will actually measure the lot. It's more intense. That's what you're paying for. So that's why banks will allow that versus a CMA for a loan.
Okay.
Now, some banks will allow CMAs on a refi.
Oh.
It just depends on who the lender is.
Okay.
So good to test it out.
That's that's good information. I didn't know that. So worth asking. Worst case scenario, you still have to pay for an appraisal, I guess.
Exactly.
And best case, you can save yourself a couple hundred.
Exactly.
All right. So basically, an appraisal might be slightly more detailed, gets in, really measures, make sure all the information is accurate, but frequently they come out pretty close.
Fairly close, yes, they do.
And regardless, and you were saying they're all personal opinions, so they're all going to be somewhat of a range, because ultimately the house is worth what somebody will pay for it, and you can't always predict that, right? Okay. And so that can be really helpful too for my clients if they're trying to sit down in mediation, they're trying to reach agreements, they don't want to each hire their own appraiser and have them battle it out in court, because that gets even more expensive than a couple hundred, I can tell you.
Right.
Each having a CMA from a trusted professional, or picking a professional they can both trust to getting one, and at least having a range so nobody is really overestimating or underestimating the value of the house can be very helpful.
Correct. And it's also good, the CMA will give you a range. The range will be fairly tight, but it will give you a range. And as certain markets get busier, get slower, the values do change. So a house that, let's say, is worth $250,000 in November, and no work has been done to it, come spring market, that could be worth $265 without doing any changes. That's just due to the supply and demand. Right now we're in a seller's market, so that means the buyers outweigh the sellers. So there's more buyers than properties. So your value does go up. Now, same thing again, you got a home at $260 in July, come November, December, when the buying market is down, you may lose some of the value of that home.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. So if you are interested in getting a CMA, or maybe you just need to talk to a realtor about something else, please consider contacting Scott. His information will either be right below the video or right next to it, depending on where you're watching it. So please feel free to reach out to him. And the CMAs are free, so it can at least give you a more accurate picture of what the house is worth. And that's good information to have when you're going into mediation. So thank you so much for being with us today, Scott.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it.
Thank you.